नमस्कार, जय रंगफ्रा। आज हम रंगफ्राइज्म एंड इट्स बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट के ऊपर में बात करेंगे। यह एक छोटा सा पैम्पलेट है, हमारे सेक्रेटरी जनरल श्री लेड लासम खिमुन जी ने बनाया था। भगवान ने उनके थ्रू में ये छोटा सा पैम्पलेट बनाया था, तो इसे हम पढ़ते हैं। इसके बाद हम और इसे समझने ट्राई करते हैं। Rangfra is an equivalent term for God in the language of a minor group of Tibeto-Burman family consisting of four major tribes like Tangsa, Tutsa, Nokte, and Wancho, each having various sub-tribes with varied and distinct cultures. They inhabit the eastern part of Arunachal Pradesh, bordering Burma in the southeast and Assam in the northwest. They lead a very simple way of life amidst the deep green forest full of mountains and rivers, filled with countless species of flora and fauna. During flowering season, the beauty of nature really leaves a serene peace and joy in their heart beyond expression. They are as simple and holy as the nature itself. They are really peace-loving people, and I am proud to be one among them. God, O Rangfra, according to us, is the ultimate reality, which is the source of all sources. It is the creator, the sustainer, and the destroyer of the universe. It is the absolute, infinite, that is, all-encompassing. Hence, there cannot be two or more infinite or gods. Thus, God is one path leading to it, maybe many. Therefore, there is no reason to fight in the name of religion or God. Rangfra is the substance of all substances, or the all-pervading, pure consciousness from which human consciousness flows. Religion, or Ranglam, according to us, is a path of retreat towards the ultimate state of pure consciousness, or the Rangfra, the source of all sources. The further we go away from Rangfra, the worse it will be for us, all humanity. The religion for us is to live in perfect harmony with the external cosmic nature around us. The religion for us is to love not only our fellow human beings but also the nature around us, including the animal kingdom. Every inch of our Mother Earth is pure and holy for us. For us, there is no Hindu, Muslim, or Christian, but simply humanity. In fact, the term like Hindu, Muslim, etc. were not known to us till last 30 years ago. We recognize only two types of people, namely good people and evil people. We think of those people to be good who thinks and does good for the good of humanity, and evil to those people who think only for themselves. Ours is natural, eternal, and universal in character. Metaphysics and spirituality in Rangfraism. Rangfra is the unseen power or the ultimate substance which is all-pervading. It is self-effulgent, autonomous, and self-acting force in which the tendency for creation is immanent in itself. It is the principle of both actuating and the actuated. It is the ultimate reality from which everything emanates, its own schedule in accordance with the law of manifestation. And similarly, after completion of their respective life cycle, again dissolves into it in accordance with the principle of dissolution. Rangfra has two aspects, namely objective and subjective. The unseen supernatural power or the unifying or self-setting law that operates the entire universe, including a kingdom of plants and animals and human beings as well, constitute its objective aspect called Rang, while the loving, kindness, compassion, forgiveness, tolerance, wisdom, virtue, etc. comprises its subjective aspect called Fra. Rang is formless, while Phara is the same reality conceived in human form. Rang Phara is neither Rang nor Phara, but the ultimate reality underlying them, just as the soul is neither the body nor the mind, but the underlying reality, without which neither mind nor body can exist. In nature, everything, be it living or non-living, irrespective of its will, are caught in the cycle of life, which has three phases, vis-a-vis the phase of creation being regulated by the principle of creation or the law of manifestation, the phase of sustenance being controlled by the principle of sustenance, and the phase of dissolution being operated by the principle of dissolution. Nothing in this universe can escape this cycle of life. Once got arrested into the clutches of principle of creation, must have to undergo the other two phases before it is released. Therefore, anything that has a beginning must have an ending. It is the Rangphara alone which is beyond creation, hence eternal. Rangphara is the underlying principle of all these three principles, just as the law of gravity is the underlying law of volume, pressure law, and the Archimedes law of buoyancy. Therefore, Rangphara is the law of all laws, the source of all sources, the existence of all existences, the meaning of all meanings, the explanation of all explanations, the prime mover of all the movers, the omnipotent, the omniscient, and the omnipresent, the infinite, the absolute beyond description. No one can say what is God. We can at most say what God is all about. Any theistic philosophy of the world is in fact about the study of man in relation to his ultimate benefactor, the God, on one side and the cosmic nature on the other side. Therefore, to understand human nature is as important as to understand the nature of God. Without knowing the exact nature of man, to draw any religious philosophy, be it theistic or non-theistic, would carry no meaning. Normally, the position of man can be located on the scale of morality at any one of the three different levels, that is, man of immoral, man of amoral, and man of moral. Amoral persons are of two types. The first type of an amoral person is he who is at the level by virtue of his birth, while the second type is he who transcends all levels of morality or attained spiritual perfection. Both are simple, but the former is innocent or ignorant, while the latter is a man of wisdom. The former is not perfectly amoral, while the latter has attained perfect state of amorality. The true nature or the true self or the soul of man is essentially amoral in character, neither good nor evil. It is the social environment that shapes the character of the individual. Rangfraism holds that the genetic factor has nothing or least to do with the character of an individual. Therefore, a systematized way of life in accordance with certain moral principle is a must, and Rangfraism is one such system. According to Rangfraism, the purpose of religion is to unfold the true nature of man, which is as pure and holy as the cosmic nature. To unfold one's true nature in real sense is to synchronize one's nature with his external cosmic nature. A perfect harmony in between the nature within and the nature without can be achieved only when the three levels of morality are transcended altogether so as to become amoral again. But it is the physical self that stands as a hindrance on the way of synchronization. Physical self is the source of lust, greed, and ego, etc., to which our real nature or true self is being buried deep under. To have dug out this true nature means to have succeeded in synchronizing it with the external cosmic nature. It is the improper or non-synchronization or maladjustment between these two natures which is the source of our suffering and pain. The ways and means through which this can be accomplished, or in other words, the suffering and pain arising out of maladjustment, can be eradicated, is all about Rangfraism. It is universal in character. It is an open system, that is, any person irrespective of his caste, creed, sect, etc. can join in this act of dragging humanity closer to the God, leaving aside all our possible differences. Rangfraism is only after what is right, genuine, true, and good. If anybody says something, a Rangfrai would simply listen to it attentively and judge as to whether it is right, genuine, true, and good. If it is so, he would readily accept it and never inquires as to which religion he belongs to. For Rangfrites, there is no Hindu, Muslim, or so on, but simply a human being, that's all. Various sects, creeds, and religion, etc. of the world are but man-made barriers. They are not the absolute truth, but the partial truths according to Rangfraism. So long as we recognize ourselves as Hindu, Muslim, Christian, and so on, we are not yet religious. To become truly religious, one has to transcend these partial truths of barrier. Realization of the ultimate truth should be, and in fact, is the sole aim of every religion. Rangfraism is one of the ways and means for this realization. Religion, according to Rangfraism, is an art of living sanely. Sense of sacrifice and service to the humanity is the core of Rangfraism. The God is infinite, so is his attributes. While man is finite, so is his attributes too. Therefore, there remains for always a gap between God and man, which is popularly known as the eternal gapping in Rangfraism. The main object of every religion, according to Rangfraism, is to reduce this gapping, at least with respect to subjective aspects of perfection. The lesser is the gapping, the better. It is not only for the individual, but also for the entire humanity. And this very gapping in the level of phenomenal world is manifested as the law of natural deficit. In nature, everything tends to stability, but by the virtue of its own inherent property, the stability can be achieved only at the cost of instability somewhere else. Hence, it is an eternal process, and this process must undergo the following three aforesaid phases of life in an endless cyclic manner. This eternal gapping is manifested in physical world as the difference of potentialities. It is the gap in between fulfilled and unfulfilled, perfection and the imperfection, known and the unknown, etc. The process of thesis and the antithesis goes on in nature by the virtue of its inherent property. This very property, or tendency immanent in itself for creation, is but the grosser manifestation of the divine will. In subjective world, the eternal gapping or the divine will is manifested as the biological drives like desires, instincts, will, discontentment, curiosity, interest, etc. And all this, in fact, are the driving force in man. The rational principles that regulate our biological drives are called moral principle, and the means of realization of these principles in practical life or to live according to them are all about Rangfraism. The question of morality or immorality arises out of the fact that whether we abide by the prescribed laws of morality or not. Intentional violation of any moral principle is a sin. Any unintentional act, though in discord with the principles of morality, is not treated as sin but considered in Rangfraism to be simply an expression of ignorance. Moral laws are of two categories: moral codes of conduct recognized by a particular community or customary law of morality, and 2. Moral codes of conduct based on eternal principle of morality, popularly known as the divine principles of morality in Rangfraism. The former varies from place to place, hence it is conditional or partial truth, while the latter is universal in character. The foundations of morality are the freedom of will and a sense of moral obligations. In reality, they are neither completely two different things nor are they same. The sense of moral obligation actually is the outcome of this freedom of will. It is our moral obligation or moral duty to respect others' freedom of will. This sense of moral obligation arises out of the fact that we do expect and desire that our freedom of will should be respected by others. For any disrespect or underestimation or curtailment of our freedom of will is sure to hurt us. Further, we ought to have the sense of moral obligation towards them whom we owe. The exertion of this sense of moral obligation through any type of activity is what Rangfraism called to be the duty, and performance of one's duty in fact constitutes one's dharma. Intentional denial to perform one's duty is considered sin. Any act of hindering one from performing his duty is also considered as sin, because it is in discord with the fundamental principles of morality, that is, freedom of will to perform one's duty is being curtailed. Where there is curtailment of freedom of will, there always exists sin, provided the curtailment being affected to its intentional, or more precisely, any intentional act in discord with the divine principles of morality is a sin. Violation of any customary moral law may of course be a sin for a particular society, but it may not be treated as a sin in other society. Customary moral law of any society is not supposed to contradict the divine principle of morality. If it happens to do so, then the customary moral law of that particular society must be faulty according to Rangfraism, because it believes in the principle of non-contradiction. That is, no two separate truths can contradict each other. At most, it can add to further truths. This principle, of course, is an ideal principle, i.e., unrealizable truth. Contradiction is indispensable in practical life. This is due to the following reasons: limitations in human faculty of thought, limitations in the capacity of words or language, limitations in the span of human life. Because of the above limitations, a gap between the finite man and the infinite God is unavoidable, hence eternal gapping. This gapping, of course, does not imply that in any manner that man cannot attain salvation. What it simply implies is that a man being infinite will never be able to determine the exact nature of God. The sole aim of religion, according to Rangfraism, is not to become God but to attain subjective perfection with respect to moral and spiritual dimension. Here it is to be noted that the attainment of subjective perfection with respect to moral and spiritual perfection is to attain only one attribute of its many attributes. Perfect man, according to Rangfraism, is he who attains moral perfection. Such person is virtuous and never does sin, but moral perfection should not be the ultimate aim of life. According to Rangfraism, it is only a midway to the ultimate. The ultimate aim of life is to attain spiritual perfection, which actually starts at a point where morality ceases. Morally perfect is he who successfully and easily, without any effort, regulates his biological drives in accordance with the principle of morality, be it customary or divine. Whereas for a spiritually perfect person, there remains no tint of desires to any worldly objects, be it wealth, health, power, nor has any attachment to the family members. Hence, the question of regulating does not arise at all. If such person has any family, then the entire humanity is his family. If he has any wealth, the wealth of the world belongs to him. He is in this world yet has no connection with this world. He is absolutely free from fear, tension, worry, anger, passion, greed, and ego, etc. He is beyond pain and pleasure, joy and sorrow. He has no craving for name and fame. He does not crave even for his life or his physical body. He lives not because he likes to live, but just for the good of others. He eats not because he likes to eat, but he eats because he has to live for others. This is the concept of liberation and the ultimate end of life, according to Rangfraism. So this small pamphlet published by Rangfra Faith Promotion Society, written by Secretary General, is so marvelous. It deals with the basic concept of Rangfraism. Thank you so much. Jai Rangfra.